Here you go. Password 050900. Oh, here you go. Zero earnings. You got it. Cancel.
Turn that down just a little bit, son. Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? Turn it down just a little bit, son. Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? You guys, let me know if y'all can hear me, man. I've been trying to get this live going, man. Let me know if y'all can hear me, man. I've been trying to get this live going, man. D Hodges, what's good, man? Can you hear me, D Hodges? You hear me fine? Okay, good. Finally, man. Man, that took a while, man. Streamlabs then updated their app, man. So been trying to figure this out all over again, man. All right, cool. Bet. All right, let me just adjust some things. Y'all give me 1 second, man. All right, so made this video, actually put this poll in, man. My 10th year of making YouTube videos, man. You know, 10th year making heavyweight boxing videos here on YouTube. My first video I uploaded was 2010, December 21st. Give me 1 second. Aladdin Saddam, what's up, man? Retros for Life, Iron Fist, Dioli and Newly, what's up? So, put up a poll. Give me 1 second. Damn. Okay. So I put up a poll yesterday. Just asking you guys who's been the best heavyweight over the last 10 years, man. And the last I checked the poll was like an hour ago, you guys. And I want a few more people to get up in here, man, so we can talk about this. But the last time I checked the polls, man, I put it up about 6 hours ago, and there was 306 votes the last time I checked the polls, and AJ was leading. He was at 32%. Wilder was at 28%. Fury at 23%. Klitschko, the OG, was at 16%, and Povetkin, he got 1% of the vote. All right, I pretty much used him as filler, just for somebody just to fill a space. I was going to put other, but I put Povetkin in there, man, because when I first started YouTube, you guys, in 2010 making videos on here about heavyweights, man. I had Klitschko and Povetkin as the top two guys from 2010 until it got like into that 2015-ish. So about, you know, I got to put him in there, man, because half the damn decade I had Povetkin as the #2 heavyweight, at least on my rankings, you know what I mean? So I had to put him in there for his work that he did, you know, for those, you know, first 5 years of the decade. Now, I will say this, things that they done, and this is only just based around my channel the last 10 years, all right? It's pretty good that it was a whole decade, you know, from 2010 to 2020, but if they did something, you know, December, or if they did something 2010 in June, I'm not counting it. All right. It's just based around my channel. If they are going to do something 3 months from now, I'm not counting that. Just from December 21st, 2010 to December for today, right now, December 21st. All right. Who do you think's been the best heavyweight? And I will say this, man. If you want to say it goes by accomplishments, or if you want to vote for the guy that you think that has accomplished the most, or if you want to vote for the guy who you think head to head would beat everybody, or who do you think is the most talented, whatever criteria you want to use, man, use it. You know, there's no set guidelines for this. You know what I mean? Guys, one more time, man, before I go in and I read some more comments, I'm gonna try this, and you guys tell me if you can hear me or not, man. All right, so you guys couldn't hear me then, right? Press yes if you couldn't hear me. Press yes if you couldn't hear me a few seconds ago, because I tried to mute my mic. I'm trying to see if that even works. You guys press yes if you could not hear me a few seconds ago. Okay, bet. All right. So now, like I said, now somebody, okay, let me get to the comments real quick, man. I thought somebody said Wilder's leading now. Dio says Wilder's leading now. Wow, okay. Last I checked, man, an hour ago, he was down in the polls. Okay, but regardless of that, there's some things that I wanted to cover. Hold on, y'all. Let me grab something to drink, man. Give me 1 second. And excuse me for having y'all wait, man. Like I said, I've been trying to go live on this I wanted to cook on this hours ago, man, but Streamlab on my phone, they updated their app, man, and sometimes when you get these apps, you're a content creator, man, you get these when they update the app. For me, it's like harder to navigate through the damn app. Everything that I was used to over the last year is now changed. You know what I mean? So I had to figure it out. All right, but like I said, man, some of you may feel like, hey, man, Tyson Fury is the most talented out of all. I don't give a damn what Wilder or Joshua accomplished. I think he's the most talented. That's what I'm voting for. Or you may think it's AJ Wilder, or you may say, hey, man, the hell with all this. They caught Klitschko at the wrong time, but Klitschko still held it down from 2010 to 2020 for most of the decade. All right, this is what I want to say. All right, and again, let me get to y'all's comments, man. I want to get as many people in here as I can before I start on this. But while we're doing that, oh, and I'm going to do a video probably later. I'm gonna let it cook for a little bit longer. Heavyweight performer of the night. And that's something I wish I would have done, man, when I first started. But, you know, you think of ideas as you go along. Because I would have been like on volume like 900. You know what I mean? But heavyweight performer of the night, the candidates were Michael Hunter with his victory over Sean Lockery, Stephen Shaw with his win over the Demolition Man Pinchuk, and who else? Frank Sanchez with his victory over Julian Fernandez. All right, and when I last checked, it was neck and neck between Hunter and Sanchez. So I'm gonna let that go for a few more hours, And then later tonight, I'll go ahead and break down those fights from this past weekend and announce who the winner is. All right. Before I start on this, man, I'm going to go ahead and see what's up in here. Say what's up to everybody, man. Aladdin Saddam, the boxing nerd says Vitali Klitschko. You will rate Vitali over, but again, see this is the beauty of this, man. There's no, you can pick who you want to pick. I guess I could have put Vitali in there, but he ended up retiring when he retired 2013, so he had just a short little run, 2010 to 2013. You know what I mean? But shit, he was a titleist and he did make some title defenses. I guess I could have slid him in there, man. To be honest, but I think the other guys just fought more. You know what I mean? And shit, yeah, all the guys on the list has fought all the years except Klitschko. You know what I mean? But at least he fought majority of the years from 2010 to 2020. All right. I see most of you guys going at it with your who picked who. Aladdin Saddam, he says Wilder. D Hodges, okay. Miles Grocott says, which more respect went to all fighters brave enough to step in the ring, even if you have a favorite or an opinion, voice, but don't hate. D only says the last 10 years got to be Vlad based on accomplishments. And we're going to get to that. Trust me. D Hodges says Wilder is number one. He got 10 title defenses at heavyweight. All right. Then D Newly countered that and says against who? Miles Grocott says going by fighting top 10 opponents, it has to be AJ hands down. Supercat says Joshua more contender consistently. Stephen Broom says Joshua clearly resume is phenomenal. Only been box professional for 6 years. Is it incredible? Okay. Newly says Wilder is leading your poll right now. Yeah, last I checked, man, it was AJ was winning. He had 32% lap, but that's when it was at 306 votes. And it was AJ at 32%, Wilder at 28, Fury at 23, Klitschko at 16, and Povetkin at 1. So I haven't checked in about like an hour, and probably like 2 hours. Damn, AJ's number 3 now? Okay. He says on resume accomplishments, Vlad, AJ, then Wilder. I'm sorry, Vlad, AJ, then Fury. Okay. Jay Fletcher says Fury with wins over Vlad and Wilder takes it for me. You know what, Jay? If I'm looking at who got the most impressive victories over the last 10 years, I'm going with Fury, hands down. You beat the two. At the time he beat Wladimir, he beat the longest reigning champion, which was Wladimir, right? Then he beat him. He takes some years off. He has, some little tune-up fights, and then he gets a win this last February over the guy that was the current longest reigning champion in Wilder. You know what I mean? So I think he has the 2 best wins in my opinion. All right. Supercat says Fury's inactivity due to his ban might play a part. Okay. D. Newly says Americans will say Wilder, UK will say AJ, neutrals will say Vlad or Fury. Interesting. D. Hodges says Fury is number 2, U6 number, okay. Miles Grocott says Fury has 2 good wins. AJ has many more, in my opinion. Let me see. Iron Fist says Klitschko 2010, 2015 beat the likes of, hey, okay, we're going to get to all that. Blackout was good. All right, man, let me just go ahead and start. W Wallace 0071, he says, morning, Mr. Boxers 4M, Australia, going to the gym to train. I got Joshua defeating every opponent for the next 4 years minimum. His loss to Andy evolved him like when Ali lost to Frazier. My man Lion Killer Podcast up in this thing. What's good, man? Official AJ, what's good? Santi L, what it do? My man Tommy Temper, I appreciate that $5 holla. All right. Look, man. Damn, guys, give me one more. Let me find the charger. Give me 1 more second, you guys. One more second, you guys. We're going to cook on this, man. Trying to get everything set up the right way. Give me 1 second. All right, so like I said, man, everything is just from December 21st of 2010 to today, December 21st, 2020. All right. So this is how I broke it down, man. All right. So this is how I broke it down. Okay. So in the last 10 years, from those dates that I just said, let's start with Vladimir Klitschko. Okay. Vladimir Klitschko, from December 21st to right now, even though he's retired, he had 11 fights. He was 9-2 in those 11 fights. All 11 fights were unification bouts. He was 9-2 with 5 knockouts. Okay. In that span, in my opinion, his notable wins were David Haye, a 1-loss David Haye, an undefeated 27-0 Marius Wack, a 28-0 Pianata, a 26-0 Povetkin, a 20-0 Pulev, a 19-0 Bryant Jennings. Okay? And then his defeats were to an undefeated Anthony Joshua and a 24-0 Tyson Fury. So, look, one thing that I always credit him for, Larry Holmes would do that. If you go back and look at Larry Holmes' resume, you'll see the same thing. You know, him fighting Tim Witherspoon and Bay and all those undefeated up-and-coming guys that, you know, you give a chance to fight. And I know people say, oh, but they're, you know, those guys, they're not ready yet. Well, shit, how would you know when anybody's ever ready, man? Like, you got to put them in there with somebody. Sometimes you get thrown into a title shot. Sometimes you may get thrown into some type of title eliminator where you're fighting a number 1 or number 2 rated contender in said sanctioning body. When do you know when anybody's ready? I always say that, man. People, oh, he ain't ready yet. He ain't ready yet. Well, if a guy keeps beating Joe Blow, the journeyman, then you're going to say he fought none but journeymen. If he fights fringe contenders, then you say, oh, he fought fringe contenders. If he fights another fellow undefeated prospect, then you say, oh, he's a fellow undefeated prospect, but that prospect doesn't have any experience either. It's like trying to get a job and they say you don't have any experience. Well, goddamn, let me get some experience here. You know what I mean? So that's always been my thought about it. But I always give credit to guys that are giving those up and coming guys shots. You know what I mean? We can't have 50 undefeated fighters. They're going to have to fight each other. And damn it, shit, either fight the champion to see where you're really at, or if you're fighting other undefeated guys. Always give credit to title holders, just fighters that do that, man. Now, we can nitpick about, oh, that undefeated guy didn't fight nobody and all that. Fair enough. You know what I mean? But I think that's pretty damn impressive, man. Undefeated Jennings, undefeated Pulev, undefeated Povetkin, undefeated Pianata, undefeated Wack, undefeated Fury, undefeated AJ. Come on, man. And then a 1-loss, hey, that's pretty damn impressive. And he's 9-2 with 5 knockouts. All right. I think that's super impressive in my opinion. Okay. Who else didn't join up in here? My man, Ricky E245. What's good, bro? All right. Now, I'm going to move on to Alexander Povetkin in this 10-year little gap from December 21st, 2010 to December 21st, which is today, 2020. And if I'm off on any of these numbers, hey, just leave it in the chat, man. You know what I mean? Because I did this really quick. I jotted this shit down in like 5 minutes, man. So I did it really quick. If you haven't cast your vote yet, go cast your vote in my community section. All right. This is where all this stems from. Povetkin has had 18 fights in this 10 years. Exactly 10 years. He's had 18 fights. He's 5-2-1 with 10 KOs. His 2 losses was to Klitschko, Anthony Joshua, the 1 draw to Michael Hunter. That's pretty damn competitive right there over the last 10 years. Hunter draw, and then your 2 L's you had to Klitschko and AJ. All right. And he's not somebody that's easy to be knocked out. Okay, so Povetkin's not getting knocked out by everybody either. All right. From my recollection, AJ's the only one to stop him. I know Klitschko put him down and hurt him and was grabbing him and ragdolling him, but he's only been stopped once. Okay. Now, some of you may say, who the hell is that guy? Well, if he wasn't really following the division, man, some of you might not know who a one-loss Cedric Boswell was, but shit, he was one of the American guys on the come up during those years, all right? However, but, you know, he fought a one-loss. Dillian White knocked him out. That may be the most, his shit, yeah, it's his best win over the last 10 years, maybe the best win of his career, in some people's opinion. He fought White, fought Huey Fury, AJ Hunter, Price, Christian Hammer, Duipa, Radenko, a one-loss Marius Wack, a one-loss Mike Perez, a one-loss Carlos Takam, a one-loss Ruzan Chagayev. Cedric Boswell had one loss, a one-loss Marco Huck. And look, I know Marco Huck's a cruiser, but he gave Povetkin some hell in that fight, man. I think Povetkin won like a majority draw in that fight. And shit, and Huck went on to defend he defended that WBO cruiserweight title like 13 or 14 consecutive times. All right. Andres Wawrzyk was undefeated when he beat him, the Polish fighter. Manuel Char was one loss. And he beat a 2012 Hasim Rahman. All right. So 15, 2-1 with 10 KOs. All right. So let's cover Povetkin. Now, the big three, which is pretty much who's taking over the polls right now. I'm going to go ahead and start with Anthony Joshua. Okay. Over the last 10 years, and he's pretty much, he turned pro during this decade, whatever. He has 25 fights. He's 24-1 with 22 knockouts. That's hell of impressive, okay? From what I have, he has 10 title fights. 10. 9 of them were unification for two or three titles that were on the line. All right. He's 9-1 with 7 knockouts. He has beaten in these last 10 years a 16-0 Dillian White, a 23-0 Charles Martin. He's beat Klitschko, Takam, a 24-0 Parker, a 1-loss Povetkin, a 1-loss Pulev, a 1-loss Ruiz, and a 17-0 Dominic Brazil. And if you want to throw his gold medal in there that he achieved in 2012, that's pretty damn impressive. And then that one loss was revenge. Look, man, that's impressive as hell. That's super impressive. As of right now, he has the best. As far as the guys that I'm looking at, this looks like the hardest schedule, in my opinion. Those are all solid, man. Now, you may say, oh, Dominic Brazil's not even good. Okay, but look, after a while, once people are getting sparked out and knocked out after the years go on, then yeah, but going into, you have to look back at things in retrospect of how everybody was looking at certain fights going into that fight. Now, AJ was the favorite going into the Brazil fight, but there was still some questions. Shit, we didn't really know if he was going to win or lose that fight. Yes, he was the favorite, but we still didn't know. So I think that's hell of impressive, man. Now, you can argue that Povetkin and while all these guys came into that decade had already been gold medal winners in these 10 years. And that's pretty damn impressive in my book. I mean, how can you come on, bro? I'm gonna go over it again. Undefeated White was 16-0 when he got beat by him. 23-0 Charles Martin beat Klitschko, and I know Klitschko was coming back 2 years. I understand, but he beat him. And again, you have to retrospect and recall what was going on going into that fight. I remember making a video, you guys, it's still up on YouTube. I made a video picking Anthony Joshua. Do you guys understand? There are so many people coming to my videos telling me you don't know shit about boxing. You're just picking him because he's black with muscles. I swear to God on my kids. People are saying idiotic stuff like that. You're just picking him because he's black. You're an idiot. So you're going to pick him because he has big muscles? Look how robotic he is, but all this and that. He hasn't fought he hasn't. Yeah, it's funny how when we look at things in hindsight, but you got to remember how we were talking about these things going into the fight. It's kind of like Klitschko's victory over David Haye. Yeah, now we can look at it and say, oh, David Haye was complaining about his toe. Yeah, but going into that fight, a lot of people are picking David Haye to beat Klitschko. He's quicker, he's younger. This is the style that can get him. You know, all that shit. And then the fight happened, and oh, this shit was garbage. David Haye lost to Tony Bellew. Yeah, years later. You know what I'm saying? You can't just forget how things were being viewed going into a big fight. People tend to forget those things. I don't. I look at everything in its totality, not just the end result. Yeah, the end result is what matters, but I look at things in totality, man. At least when I'm breaking it down. All right. My man Blood Boxing, Retro Boxing Documentaries was good, bro. All right, so that's how I view Anthony Joshua, man, in his 10-year gap from December. Blood, if you haven't heard, bro, I'm breaking down the top 10. I see Coach K up in here, my man's on 6. The best heavyweight from December 21st, 2010 to today, exactly 10 years ago. And that's when I first started this channel. And I want to know when I first started my first channel, but me uploading heavyweight content on here exactly 10 years ago to today. And I want to know who's the best heavyweight. Anything that took place December 18th, 2010, it don't count. Just the exact 10 years, all right? So AJ, again, I'll go over what he did in the last 10 years. 24-1, 22 knockouts, 9-1 with 7 knockouts in title fights. 10 title fights, 9 of them were unification for 2 or 3 belts. All right. Next person I'm going to move on to is Tyson Fury. Now, his is crazy, man. Now, if you want to count this lineal stuff and all that, fine. I'm just talking about when he got into the ring and there was an actual belt that goes around your waist, like the WBO, the 4 major sanctioning bodies, top belts, not regular, not interim, not gold, not cardboard, none of that shit, not polyester, just the real belts, all right, that count. Fury he's only been in 3 title fights. If you're looking at it like that, he's been in 3 title fights. He's undefeated. He's 2-1. All right. Stop Wilder. Yeah, he's 2-1 with 1 stoppage win. He beat Klitschko. He beat Wilder in the draw against Wilder. All right. Now, some of you may say, but Mr. Boxing, he's the most talented. But Mr. Boxing, he has the 2 best. He has the best wins of the last 10 years. I agree on that. I agree on that. But let's just look at who he beat, okay? He beat Klitschko. He ended his long reign. His heavyweight title holder. He was 40-0, okay? Then he fought a 42-0 Wilder. He fought a 20-0 and beat Otto Wallen. 24-0 Tom Schwartz. A 14-0 Chisora. Then he beat Chisora again when Chisora had some losses, okay? Then there was some other guys that were European level that were undefeated. Novin Pajek was 16-0. Marcelo Nascimento was 13-0. Nascimento went on to be like a tough journeyman for these guys. And then he beat Steve Cunningham. Now, if I'm going to give Povetkin his credit for beating Huck, who was 1 loss when Povetkin beat him, Huck defended his WBO cruiserweight title like 13, 14 times in a row eventually. Steve Cunningham was a solid damn cruiserweight, man. And he was what? I think he was IBF champ at cruiser. And Fury got knocked down, had to get up. He, was over here in America talking that gangster shit. He getting dropping the right hand. The presser was funny. All that, right? And it's not just the resumes that I'm counting. I'm counting the excitement behind the fighter too. Okay. So AJ, so Fury brung all that. He was charismatic. He'll say some bombastic things and outlandish things. Some people hate him. Some people love him. All these guys, except Povetkin for the most part, well, Klitschko, but I'm talking about AJ, Fury, and Wilder. They speak English, so the American fans can understand them. You know what I mean? Because a lot of American fans were getting upset about the Chagayevs and Bragomovs and, you know what I mean? All them type of dudes over the years, right? That was turning a lot of American fans off. Not me, not a lot of, but a lot of people were getting turned off by the heavyweights, right? So I count that as well. AJ's excitement. He brings, tons of fans out there in the UK. They got explosion and fireworks and all types of shit. You know what I mean? When he comes out, he's brought a new excitement to just the UK scene, period. You know what I mean? And especially now they support their fighters. They still support David Price, and that dude been knocked out a multitude of times. But if Price got a fight coming up, they're like, oh, yay, Pricey. You know what I mean? Do it for the Gipper. Like, they're going to be cheering for David Price. You know what I'm saying? They did it against Kuzma. Everybody he fights, you would think it's starting all over again, like he's going into the first Tony Thompson fight. You know what I mean? But that's their fans, and that's how they get down. But AJ's brought a lot of excitement, whether you hate him or not. And that list of people I said that he fought, man, crazy. All right, now with Fury, so he's 18 now. In these last 10 years, Fury's 18-0 with 1 draw, 12 knockouts, 2-0 and 1 in title fights. And I think he has the 2 best wins over the last 10 years. All right. And you want to count, he did take a 2.5, 3 year hiatus from the sport, right? Whether you think it was cocaine, depression, he failed a drug test for steroids, whatever. He took a 2 to 3 year hiatus away from the sport. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to go to Deontay Wilder. And I appreciate y'all joining. I'm going to get to the comments in a second. I'm going to go to Wilder. In the last exact 10 years, let's see here. He has 30 fights. He's 28, 1-1, 27 knockouts. Him and AJ been knocking motherfuckers. That's one thing I say about him and AJ. They try to get rid of you. All right. Wilder has been a part of 12 title fights. He's 10-1-1. The 1 loss to Fury and the 1 draw to Tyson Fury. His first 8 straight title fights were all knockouts. The night he won it against Stavern, and then the 7 fights that followed after that. 8 straight KOs. All right. I mean, shit, title holder for half the decade. That's something, you know, that's like Wladimir. He was a pretty much title holder for the first half of the decade, and Wilder for the second half. Again, if you want to say Fury was the man that beat the man and Lenio and all that, well, he was for the back half as well. All right. Now let's look at who Wilder beat. A one loss to Vern. Undefeated Damian McCrary, who was 14-0. Kelvin Price 13-0. Then he beat a former title holder in Liakovic, Malik Scott, Eric Molina, Duopa, Spilka. Undefeated Gerald Washington, who was 18-0. Undefeated 28-0 Luis Ortiz. A 1 loss Luis Ortiz. And then he fought twice against an undefeated Tyson Fury. And he had a draw and a loss. I couldn't put him, as far as the top wins, I couldn't put him over. It was pretty tough too, man. A 1 loss David Haye. At the time he beat David Haye. Not all, but David Haye lost to Tony Bell, you know, when he going into the David Haye fight. A 1 loss David Haye, a 19-0 Jennings, and I thought Jennings and Wilder was me personally. Around 2012, 2013, I thought Wilder and Jennings were the 2 best American heavyweights. And during that time, because Jennings was the one that was getting the tougher fights before Wilder got into like the end of 2014, and 2015, and you know, so on. It was Jennings fighting. Oh man, what's that? There's a few guys. I'm trying to think of a guy specifically that I remember he fought on NBC Sports. It's the Russian guy, man. The fight got stopped because the guy had a cut. Damn, I forgot that dude's name, man. But him, when he was fighting guys like that, and Mike Perez, and I believe Jennings beat Spilka when Spilka was he beat an undefeated Spilka. And I was rating Jennings a little bit ahead of Wilder until I seen Wilder step up and he fought Malik Scott and so on and so forth. All right. But that was a good win. And starting to look haggard, man. This don't look like the same. On my post fight, I said it. I said, look, man, if there's anybody, if he's right for the picking, it's going to be his next fight. And at that time, because it was a post fight, and I didn't know what direction he was going to go in directly after that fight. I didn't know if he was going to try to unify with Wilder. But I remember during the post fight presser, he said that it was at the presser it was a post fight of the Jennings fight. He said that he's going to defend his title against Fury. But I still didn't know. People say a lot of shit at the post fight presser. We still didn't know. But I said, whoever he fights, man, this undefeated Povetkin, man, I don't know. I mean, he might have, looking at it like this, his wins may be more valuable than Wilder. You know what I'm saying? Now, those are the stats. If you look at this, who's the most talented? Who, if you had just one fighter from, these five guys in the room, who would come out the winner? Together, but I incorporated all that into this. Why I want to know who the fans think the best heavyweight is. Again, I think Fury has the best wins, and I think he's just the most talented out of everybody, man. My favorite, my personal favorite. See, here's where just keeping it real comes in. My personal favorite is Deontay Wilder. I'm not gonna lie, or he's my personal favorite. I like the fact that he put the American heavyweights back on the scene and getting it talked about. Whether you think he's better than Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Joe Louis, or if you think he can't even, he shouldn't even, I shouldn't even put him in the same sentence. That's fair enough. That's fine. But he put it back to a forefront to where it's on ESPN. The WWE is talking about it during their programmings, or they're bringing up his name rather. I'm hearing his name in rap songs. It's hitting pop culture here, and he put it back there. Highlight reel knockouts against Vern, just the excitement, the knockout against Brazil. This dude's creating. You know what I'm saying? When he's hitting dudes with right hands, and before they even hit the ground. That's, bro, that shit is going to get remembered. Just like how Mike Tyson's highlight reel, when Jacobs and Caden and all that was putting together his little highlight reel and putting it on ESPN. The shit's, they still play that today. The fights against Jameson and all them dudes. Right? So, he's my favorite. The most talented, I think, is Tyson Fury, because he can fight like a big man. He can know when to rough you up a little bit. He got heart. He got charisma. He can fight off the back foot the best. And just for extra cosign, Emmanuel Stewart in 2012 said, "Hey man, the two heavyweights you guys need to look out for in the future is this kid from the UK." And Emmanuel said, "I've had pretty much everybody in the camps with Vladimir on the come up." David Price, Pulev, all these dudes, Marius Wack, all of them. But you know who you should look out for? Tyson Fury. He had Tyson Fury stay in Detroit for a little bit, stayed at Emmanuel's house, and Emmanuel was teaching him some things years ago before he passed. And then he said, "Hey, don't forget this other kid from the U.S., big, strong kid, Deontay Wilder." So for me personally, that's my extra cosign for all of this. Because I respect Emmanuel Stewart. He's my favorite trainer of all time. Right? Hear what you guys got to say, man. Let me scroll up here for a second. I'm going to pick it up right here. If anything, Joshua, let me see. John Bash says, if anything, Joshua and Vlad should have had a rematch. D. Hodges says 40 straight KOs. No one will do that. Yeah, man. And it's hard. Look, people say, who would you fight, man? But shit, there's some guys you could put in there with some journeymen, and they can't get them out of there. You see prospects sometimes go to full distance with those tough journeymans all the time in 6 and 4 and 8 rounders. You know what I mean? So that KO streak is tough, man. That's just tough to do. And don't give me well, if such and such, why didn't Fury knock out every single, guy that he fought then? Why didn't that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's tougher than you think. Iron Fist says Povetkin is underrated. Yeah, I think he's underrated too, man. I had him, from 2010. I had him, the number 2 heavyweight in the world. Dio says Huck beat Povetkin that night. It was you can definitely argue that he did. I thought he was outworking Povetkin, man. He was landing good straight punches in that fight. That was an underrated fight. Ricky T says, if just the title's all messed up, but they're running away with the polls. You know what I mean? They're running away with no votes on the polls. But since the poll does name these 5, I should go ahead and do my due diligence and put all 5 guys in there. All right, there we go. Let me see how that look now. Give me 1 second, you guys. All right, bet. Titles fixed. Let me see who else up in here. Yeah, man, so that's the layout. That's the layout right there. All the stats I gave, that's the layout, man. D. Hodges says Bruce Seldon was all muscle. Tyson stopped him. Muscles mean nothing. Fabulous says Klitschko's legs were still there in that fight. His stamina only failed him at the end. Joshua tasted his power and got off the deck to stop him. It was a legit win. Yeah, that was definitely a legit win. Nathan says Fury has Vlad, Wilder, Chisora, Cunningham, Hammer. Nathan says, then he also says AJ has Vlad, Povetkin, Pulev, Parker, White, Takum. Shit, man, you got to put Ruiz up in there too, bro. That's probably as tough as opposition based on both fights. Vlad was tough too, though. Shit, Joshua make a lot of his well, not a lot, but some of his fights have been rocky for him. But shit, they're entertaining to watch though, man. You know, everything's not a video game, man. You're not going to get in there and not get hit, not get knocked down, not lose some rounds. That's one thing, man. It's like some fans put like these guys in like a video game or something, man, where they don't think the guy's going to get punched. Or if he gets caught with a good shot, he got exposed. Or if he gets knocked down, he got exposed. Or if he has to go to decision. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, man. And everything's not going to be just smooth sailing. You're going to go through some bumps. You know, you're going to get your jaw busted. You're going to get your eye blackened. You know what I mean? You're going to get that jaw tapped a few times. This is boxing. This is boxing, man. This isn't, you know, some video game, man. Yeah, Fabulous says, bro, we cheer for Dave Allen. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I actually like that, man. I like that, that y'all out there cheering all your fighters, man. Whether they're champions, journeymen, middle of the tier, fringe contenders, Larry Lunchmeat. You know what I mean? Y'all cheer them, and that's great, man. Nathan says, look at Pulev, for example. His best 2 wins since losing to Vlad are Chisora and Huey Fury, but is a solid top 10 to 15 rated heavyweight for most people. Obviously, he has declined a little bit. Diva Newly says, who has the best and worst resume from the list? I don't know if you're talking to me. I'm not sure if you're talking to, man. But I definitely would say, like I was saying, I probably already answered that, though. Some of you guys just responding to each other. Coach K was good, bro. He says Fury as of now. Supercat says, what is up with Wilder, though? He's been quiet. Seems as if him and his team is trying to get this thing taken to court. You see, Tyson Fury was all up in arms saying, I'm not waiting on Wilder. I'm going to fight December 5th. I'm not waiting on nobody. The contract expired, so on and so forth. And he didn't fight. And last I heard, they're taking it to court. You know what I mean? So I think Wilder, last I heard, is just training. Just keeping his mouth shut and training. I think he's in a position, bro, no matter what he say, is going to get looked at as an excuse. You know, and when fighters lose, man, they're always looking for ways to, justify why they lost. It's just what they do, man. Like, no fighter just, rarely do they think they just lost because the other guy was the better man. It's going to be because of something. Training camp didn't go the right way. And then Wilder, with the things that he's saying that didn't work out in his favor, or he feels as if he was cheated, or his trainer was dirty, or Fury had egg weights, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just how fighters are. Now, every fighter's not going to use the same thing that Wilder is saying, but they always have something. It just wasn't my night. Whatever it is. me see here. Tone Banger says Wilder's the only one besides Klitschko who solidified himself as a Hall of Famer. You think so, bro? You think so? I think AJ got a damn good resume there, bro. Now, I gave Wilder his credit, not so much about the resume itself, but what he has done with the eye test and just things that he's brought to the table for the division. And some of these guys may go into a Hall of Fame for just different reasons. It might not just be about all resume with some guys. Sometimes it's a resume with some other things as well. And with this Hall of Fame, man, I'm not sure how much faith I got in the Hall of Fame, bro. James Toney's not even in the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much faith can you even put into a damn Hall of Fame? You know? And I know we like to use the Hall of Fame for debates and arguments and to make points, and I get it. Every year somebody's going to get snubbed, but James Toney's like a clear number one. Like, that's not even close. That's clear. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's like, what the hell are we doing here? Climb High says, Mr. Boxing, your analysis was gentle on Deontay Wilder's resume in obtaining 40 KOs. The boxing world should have been up in arms at 25 fights in. I don't know what you mean to say about gentle, bro. I just told you, how much more do you want me to say? I just said, if anything, you could say that all these dudes have better wins than Wilder. What else more? Or you may call him a bitch or something to say he's a bum and he's a disgrace to boxing? Is that what you want me to do, bro? I don't do that about no fighter. You know what I mean? So or maybe if I read down, you make more of a clarification, but I'm not sure what else you want me to say. It's only 5 dudes on here, and I just said out of these 5, you can probably say, as far as best wins or just who has a better resume, you could probably say he's 5th. If you just break it down the way I'm looking at these guys and who they fought, but the Ortiz ones, I like those wins. But I'm not sure what else you want me to say, bro. I just broke down the other things that, and then you said 40 fights, bro. You're not listening. Maybe you came in late. What do you mean 40 fights? I'm just talking about the last 30 fights. And then again, another thing you guys got to realize, when fighters turn pro, everybody's pushed differently. They're all pushed differently, man. Like, you don't necessarily look. Some guys may be pushed for a world title 10, 11, 12 fights in. Their promoter and their management think, you know what, he's ready right now. There's some guys, you know what, he didn't have a lot of experience even in the amateurs, man. He only had a handful of amateur fights. Even if the guy did make it to the Olympics, he needs more experience. So let's get him, let's go on that Mike Tyson run where you're making your guy fight, 10, 11, 12 times in 1 year for a couple of years, or 4 to 5 times a year for a few years before so you can get him some fighting experience. It's different for everybody, man. Everybody's not just going to jump right into the fire. Props to AJ because he's accomplished a lot. I'm not saying that he's accomplished more than AJ. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what was that brother's name, man? That I just responded to? Damn. So I'm going to see if you leave another comment. Climb High. So maybe you're still in the chat. Maybe you're not in the chat. I really don't know. I appreciate that $25 holler from my man, Ricky E245. He says, what's up, bro? Off topic. He says, what's up, bro? Off topic. What did you think of Frank Sanchez's performance on Saturday? I thought that he came out guns blazing. I thought he should have straightened his punches and not been looping them so wide. He was just anxious to get this guy out, to get him out of there. And again, this is kind of like goes in touch with what I was saying earlier. Sometimes as fans, man, we want to use the triangle theory. Well, Sanchez must not be that good because, Makhmudov and Tom Schwartz got him out of there quicker. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, they kept saying that they were saying that the whole telecast, how Tom Schwartz stopped the Julian Fernandez dude in 2 or 3 rounds. And we seen how Tom Schwartz looked against Tyson Fury. And I'm sitting there like, man, Sergio Mora, everybody should know, he should know better. that the triangle theory doesn't fucking work like that in boxing. Look, man, we can't use triangle theories when it's convenient. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes these journeymen, man, they know that they're journeymen. They know that they're coming in there to people want them to lay down after the first punch. But some of these dudes come in there with the attitude of, you know what? I trained. I got some. And Fernandez came in at 209, his lowest weight of his career. He didn't want to go out easy, man. He came there to fucking fight. He's still a professional fighter who was I think he was 12 and 13 and 0 once upon a time. Come from a fighting family. He doesn't come in and just lay down for you because the fans want to see it. You know what I'm saying? And then it's also hard to knock out. And I hear people say this too. Why didn't you just knock him out? It's like, bro, you do know that it's hard to knock out somebody who has experience and is coming to survive. Look, when I used to do interviews, I will always ask people this question because a lot of fans will say that I converse with. Why didn't you just knock them out? So I asked fighters, hey man, how hard is it to knock? I asked Eric Molina this. I asked Cassius Chaney. I asked Junior Fa. I asked Andy Ruiz. I asked them all when I interviewed them. The interview's still on my channel. I said, hey man, how hard is it to knock out somebody that's in survival mode? And they all said it's damn near impossible. Especially if it's an experienced guy that just knows how to hold. He knows how to clinch. He knows how to stay away. He knows how to be negative offensively. It's not just as easy as you think. Right? So to go back to Frank Sanchez, he won. It was a landslide. But sometimes guys get negative with you. They move away. They clinch. They hold. They just make this shit hard. You know what I'm saying? But as long as you sweep every round, it wasn't like he was losing rounds. You know, but then he connected with a good right hand, shortened it up, and then he landed another following up right hand. But I think it was that first right hand that had Fernandez hurt, man. He dropped him and got him out of there. Sanchez, I haven't seen, how is he going to respond when he's getting pressed back? Because everything's pretty much been downhill for him, with him gunning for knockouts, quick knockouts. I think it'll make for some excitement. You know what I mean? But I want to see more of Frank, man. And I put up a poll, who do I want to see Frank Sanchez, or who do you guys want to see Frank Sanchez fight? The last I looked at that poll was close to like 500 votes. And Jagba had 33% of the votes, Hunter 30%, Wallen 19%, Martin 15%, and other had 3%. Would have been curious to see who the others were. But and my vote would have been for Jagba, right? Because Hunter, I want to see Hunter fight Herkovic. That's why I wouldn't vote for Hunter, because I want to see him fight Herkovic. If you're asking me who I want to see Frank Sanchez fight next, it would be a Jagba. Wallen was a distant second, and then Martin, that wouldn't have been my vote either, because I think Martin is going to play it. I don't want to say play it safe. I think he's going to sit back and see what the IBF is going to decide to do with him, because he's sitting pretty right now in the IBF. They haven't refreshed their rankings, but their last rankings were Pulev rated number 1. He just lost to AJ, and number 2 was Charles Martin. So I don't know if they're going to do some type of final elimination fight. You know what I'm saying? I think Martin's probably going to go the IBF route. That's just my opinion. All right. And Wallen, it would have been between Wallen and the Jagba. You know what I'm saying? We know Wallen, his claim to fame is going in there and, giving Tyson Fury some hell for some rounds, but he lost the fight. And then the Jagba's been in there with Olympian Ale Demirezen. He's been in there with some tough journeymen, Jonathan Rice and Rodney Hernandez. Then he got dropped against Lago Kalazi, got back up and won that fight. So Sanchez looks decent, man. Just been fighting downhill in a lot of fights. Lowe's D Punch Out, what's good, bro? Dre Finest up in here. Bruce Goes, James. Jordan W says, this has been a fair and balanced breakdown. Wilder deserves his due credit for his accomplishments, just like the rest. I think AJ takes this one on the poll, but all fighters are special. Yeah, and they all got their different things, man. Wilder's going to be his knockout reign. It's going to be a lot of things that factor into why these fighters are going to be remembered from this decade. They're all carving out their own thing. Some, AJ's doing his own thing, with the, I think his schedule's tough though, man. The guys he's beaten, and at the time he beat them, his schedule was tough over the last 10 years. That's a tough schedule. Klitschko giving pretty much all the undefeated up and coming guys a chance. That's tough. You know what I'm saying? Jennings, Pullett, Povetkin, Wack, AJ Fury, all them dudes were undefeated, man. Hay had one loss at the time. That's tough. Seeing if that guy was still in here that Sal's being generous. It's like, I know what else more you want me to say, man. But I guess some guys aren't really satisfied until you make the shit personal, which I'm never gonna. It's not, man. Life is too good for me to come on here and now I will show some passion when I'm getting upset about fights not being made, but going at a certain fighter individually, it's not that important. And I love, you guys know I love boxing, man. I love the heavyweights, but it's not that personal, man. I got way too many positive things going on in my life to bring that type of negative energy. That's just me, you know. But I understand everybody's not like that. But Fabo says Wilder had little to no amateur career, so of course he had way more fights on the way up, getting experience. Thank you, Fabo, and you're a UK guy, and you get it. Like people act like they don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, damn, so bring a guy that had 40 amateur fights and just throw him right in the deep end. Don't get me wrong. It's not like AJ had an extensive amateur career either. But again, it's just, and sometimes your promoter and the people around you may just see something they think, you know what? Let's just roll the dice. Because I think AJ versus Klitschko was a roll the dice. I really do. Because again, you guys like to go off of who he beat, right? Well, who the hell did Anthony Joshua beat to make anybody think he was going to beat Klitschko? You know what I went off of when I picked AJ going into that fight? The eye test, the trajectory of the careers at the moment. AJ had been in camps with Klitschko, so he wasn't just completely just unknown to just being in the ring with Klitschko. And I've heard good things about Anthony Joshua up until they fought, right? It's not all about, well, who he beat. It's not always about that. Because if that's the case, Wladimir Klitschko should have blown out Anthony Joshua. Am I right or wrong? Right? If it's about who he beat, I mean, what are you going to tell me that the Dillian White fight, was that the fight that got him prepared? Or now, look, everything up until fight night got him prepared. But I'm saying, was that the fight that was like, we didn't have to say who he beat no more? Or let me guess, it was when he fought, and I forgot to write this name down for AJ too, because he did beat the undefeated Gary Cornish. All right, was it the Gary Cornish fight? You guys get what I'm saying here? Like, Nathan says Jared Anderson looks like a good prospect. Yeah, Jared Anderson is a very good American heavyweight prospect, man. And I would like to see some of these American heavyweights prospects get it on with each other, to tell you the truth, man. I really would. Because you got a few of them. You got Jermaine Franklin, who's 20-0. We got Stephen Shaw, who just won this past weekend. Got Cassius Chaney's undefeated. Trey Lippe Morrison still undefeated. Darmani Rock is still undefeated. You got Sonny Kanto out there. There's a lot of guys, man. And I would love to see what's going to happen with Jarrell Miller. Guido Vianello is another one. But I want to see what's going to happen with Jarrell Miller. Yeah, I know he's failed drug tests, but there's a plethora of fucking guys that failed drug tests. And that's another thing. We have to stay, look, for 2021, man, I want guys to just stay consistent. When you are all against drug cheats, fine. That's totally fine. Just stay consistent, even if it's your favorite fighter, though. That's the only thing I say. Because sometimes it's hard to get in discussions and debates with people when you change the criteria and, like, as they say, move the goalposts when it comes to the guy that you like, right? When it comes to who failed drug tests and who didn't fail drug tests. Prospect. Very good. He got thrown into the fire pretty early. What he did in the earlier years, I'm just going up to 2010. But shit, getting thrown in with Chris Bird and Larry Dono. I know man. Like, Larry Dono ain't somebody easy to beat when you're on the way up. Back then, that just ain't some easy veteran to go in there and beat. You know what I'm saying? Was it Eddie Chambers? Like, them weren't just some easy fights. Them was fights going into it. We really didn't know who was going to win those fights. You know what I'm saying? Them was just some easy gimmies. Like, them some tough fucking fights, man. I think people just overlook stuff like that, man. Everybody's not going to look. Everybody's not going to fight Joe Frazier every fight, man. Every fight's not going to be Deontay Wilder. And sometimes you got to get them tough on the way up fights where you're going to get tested. But it's up to the fans to be privy to who those guys are. If you don't know them, then everybody's going to look like a bum to you. Dio says Wilder could have stepped up sooner. He should have unified versus Charles Martin. But D, you're forgetting though, bro. And I know what your rebuttal is probably going to be. It's going to be, well, if the fight was that big or if they got that much money, Heyman should have just made it. Fair enough. But, brother, at that time, no D, Charles Martin, that was up. It takes two to tango, brother. And Charles Martin, first he offered either first or second, I forget which way it went, but he offered Parker and Joshua the fight because he knew that would be the biggest payout. Parker and their team didn't, all this stuff is documented. There's articles. Parker and his team didn't give enough, they weren't putting up enough money. So he didn't go that route. Eddie Hearn opened up that bank. And Eddie Hearn was able to get that fight. And Martin made a nice amount of money. Then around that time, bro, is when Povetkin and Wilder kept going at it. Remember, Povetkin was the man. You don't remember that when Povetkin was the mandatory and it was all that shit flying with all that? I was so pissed off during that time because I thought Povetkin and Wilder were both scheduling around each other. Wilder started fighting Molina. Then Povetkin went and fight Walk. It was just like, man, what the hell y'all doing? Then Wilder fought Spilka. Then the fight was going to get made. And then the Meldonium should happen with Povetkin. So around that time, bro, it wasn't just, oh, you should have when it's convenient, right? Because if that was the case, we would have been fucking had Undisputed. Heyman and people that are involved with that not putting up more money than Hearn to make the Wilder versus Martin fight. But that wasn't Wilder saying, I don't want to fight Charles Martin. That's Charles Martin said, man, fuck that. Who's the highest bidder? Parker or AJ? AJ, all right, bet. That's who I'm fighting next. That's how that went, bro. Lawrence Williams was good, bro. Eddie says Wilder. Damn, my fucking phone's gonna die too. Jesus Christ. Hold on, let me see if I get this. You say, let me see what the brother just said, man. He said, put this thing on the charger. All right, there we go. What this brother say? He said, Eddie said Wilder took too long to step up. He fought nobodies for so long it made people skeptical of how good he actually was. Well, who was it exactly? Okay, so I'm just talking about 2010, December 21st to today, which is 10 years, is when I first made my first heavyweight video, right? Content on YouTube. But go back to your question, to what you're saying is, who was supposed to be a step-up fight? Because to me, his step-up fight, and I guess it just depends on what you consider what a step-up fight is, bro. I thought the step-up fight, his first step-up, his hardest fight to me, when he first started, quote-unquote, stepping up, was Malik Scott. I actually favored Malik Scott to win that fight. Yep, I did. Because I thought Malik Scott, with the eye test, back then, I'm not talking about right now, looking at it in hindsight. I'm talking about going into a year, 4 or 5 months before the fight. Back then, we're using a rewind button. I said, man, there's no way Deontay Wilder's going to be able to touch Malik Scott. He has better footwork, better head movement. I thought he was just a better boxer. Right? Now, if you want to talk about how that fight ended, that's fine. But to me, that was a step-up opponent. And then the fight with Stavern, guess who I favored in that one? Stavern. Man, I need to upload. Yo, put a one in the comment section if you want me to upload my old videos from my channel I started in 2010. If you want me to re-upload some of those boxing talk. Because, man, those videos, bro, I was so... I was so skeptical of Deontay Wilder then. 2 fights right there, I favored the opponent. And then, because I didn't think he'd be able to deal with Stavern's pressure. I thought he'd get pushed on the back foot. And I thought Stavern would pressure him, get into that rib cage, and bust him up. Because I didn't think Deontay could fight going backwards. And I thought he stood too straight up in the air with his chin exposed. And I thought Stavern was good at throwing overhand rights and left hooks. So, brother, when you say step up, I think your definition is different than mine. Because I thought going into those fights, he wasn't that he was the underdog. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Climb High says you became a big Deontay Wilder fan maybe 5 years ago. No, that's not true. I became a Wilder of like to where he started becoming like my favorite heavyweight to watch. Um, well, that fight with Stavern was just a nostalgia, man. Just to have a heavyweight championship fight between America, you know what I mean, and the MGM. That's just nostalgic to me because I'm somebody that watched Holyfield and Tyson live and all the stuff in the 80s and the 90s. You know what I mean? So just the nostalgia of that. But I was very critical of Wilder in 20. It's on my old videos, 2013, 24. I even got a video that I seen one of my old videos where I was talking about Wilder being too dismissive of Lucas Brown, because there was a time when Lucas Brown was calling out Wilder. I made a video about him being too dismissive about Amir Mansour when he said Amir Mansour is just chasing clout and all that. This is like 2014. You know what I'm saying? 2015 or something like that. But shit, man, as time goes on, man, your opinion kind of changed a little bit. When you see in highlight reel knockouts and guys not wanting to make fights with him, and Charles Martin didn't want to get in the ring. I mean, and then people taking steroids every other fight when it's time to fight him, and then him beating Luis Ortiz. I know people, oh, Luis Ortiz is 107 years old. Okay, funny joke. It's funny. Let's laugh. Hee hee ha ha. But I remember 2014, 2015, 26 when guys didn't want to get in there with Luis Ortiz. It's funny to make jokes. We can say who he beat. That's totally fine. But I remember that time though, bro. When nobody wanted to get in there with, oh, he doesn't put ass in seats. That was the excuse. He don't put ass in seats. I seen Jarrell Miller text me and tell me he didn't take the Miller fight because there wasn't enough time to train. They only gave him like 5 weeks. I did an interview with Andy Ruiz when he said, oh, I didn't take the Ruiz fight, or I didn't take the Ortiz fight because they only gave me like 4 or 5 weeks to train. And then Tony Thompson stepped in in Washington, D.C. to fight him. See, I remember those things. So everything isn't hee hee ha ha, he's 108 years old, who he beat. Nah. Now, I discredit Ortiz when he didn't get in the ring with AJ. For me personally, I thought he should have gotten in the ring with AJ. Now, AJ did his thing, him and Hearn, when he signed him, and Ortiz, he had Ortiz fight Dave Allen and Malik Scott, right? Saying that, Ortiz will get his title shot against the winner out of AJ and Vladimir, and it didn't happen. I thought that was bogus. However, fast forward a couple years later, they did offer Ortiz to fight for, I forget the exact numbers, man, but it was a lot of damn millions. Ortiz thought he deserved more millions. I thought Ortiz should have took that fight. But just because that one situation happened, I'm not going to erase what happened in 2013, 14, 15. I'm not doing that. And yes, I know he did have some drug testing issues that took him out of the rankings for like 9 months in those years, but I don't forget none of that shit. It takes two to tango, man. You can't always go by who he beat. And if you're just joining me, if we're going to say who he beat, who did Anthony Joshua beat to let us think that he would beat Wladimir Klitschko? Who did he beat? Was it the Gary Cornish fight? Maybe it was the Paul Butland fight. It was the Paul Butland fight, right? No, sometimes you got to just throw dudes in there and just see what they got. You just got to gamble sometimes. Because if we just go by who he beat, then damn near no prospect would ever get, or no contender on the way up would never get a chance. Thank you, Tone Bangers. I got like a 25-minute video that I did a couple years ago, probably about 3-4 years ago, about Luis Ortiz when I broke down all the rankings up until that. I think I did that video like 2017, I forget, but I broke it all down. It's like a 25-minute Luis Ortiz video that I have on YouTube about how he was rated. Yeah, it was about me wanting him to get his title shot. And this was before he fought Wilder the first time. And I was lobbying for this dude to get his title shot. People forget that going into the Jennings fight, it was kind of like, man, people are they didn't know who was going to win. I picked Ortiz, but some people, they didn't really know who was going to win that fight. It was closer to some people going into the fight. Climb High says, yeah, and look, it's up to your promoter, Climb High, to push you. And they just, pretty much, bro, they just gamble. Eddie Hearn said, fuck it, I'm pushing all my chips to the table, into the middle of the table. Whatever happens, happens with this Anthony Joshua kid. And sometimes promoters, they got to do that. You can't save everybody, or I see. No, let me not say save. Sometimes you can't let guys gain experience until they're 35 and know to push them in there with somebody. Sometimes they just want to push you in there right now to see what they got. And you know what? If this is a cash out moment, great, because this fucking stadium is filled to capacity. It's a 70,000 people in here. It's against Wladimir Klitschko. And if he does lose to Wladimir, hey, it's Wladimir, right? He can always come back and fight somebody else. But let's cash out, at least for right now, with this fight. That's how promoters thinking. If he wins, well, shit, more merrier for us then. But if he loses, then hey, we made a lot of money. People turned out, and hey, it was Wladimir Klitschko. You know, it's what they did with, you know, and there's like I said, there's some guys that get pushed quicker for whatever reason because they got the bigger marketing strategy and team and promoter behind them. Sometimes because they've had a plethora of amateur fights and so much success, like a Alexander Usyk and a Lomachenko. Shit, even Evander Holyfield back in the day. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to be crazy about this shit, what about Pete Rodemaker? Was it 1952, 53? He turned pro, right? Pete Rodemaker turns pro. His first pro fight was in his hometown in a stadium they built in Seattle for him because he was the gold medal winner. Guess who he fights? Floyd Patterson. Actually dropped Floyd Patterson. Patterson got up and whooped that ass, but you got to get what I'm saying. It's just different for different fighters. It's not one set criteria that you have to follow when you turn pro. Whatever gets that fighter to who he's going to be, whatever strategy you use it for said fighter. If that means he needs 20 more fights against Joe Blow, the journeyman, and Larry Lunchmeat, then let him have it. If you think he's ready right now after 2-3 fights, let him have it. Throw him in there. Tone Banger says, for example, Daniel Dubois, look at how that they moved him. Dio Binoli says, who he beat is relevant because I can just say anyone is a boogeyman. I think everyone ducking Babbage, for example. Yeah, bro, but that's not realistic though. Well, okay, I get what you're saying, bro. But who he beat, it is relevant and it is valid sometimes. But if we always just go by that, then would that guy have to wait to get a title, a major fight until he beats somebody that you deem worthy? Because then we'll just be sitting here. Then I can just say, nope, that guy ain't worthy. And you'll say, yeah, he is. Then I'll say, that guy's worthy. Then you'll say, no, no, he's not. Right? Babbage, who he beat, ain't. I won't compare it to this because at least with Luis Ortiz, at least he did beat an undefeated Brian Jennings, who people, again, bro, going into that fight, go watch the old videos, go read old articles. It was kind of up and up. And people are like, Luis Ortiz, really don't know. Then I remember when Jennings had requested the Ortiz take a drug test, I think it was Olympic style or something like that. Then people are like, oh, if he ain't got his juice, he really going to lose. He blah, 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 blah. He knocks Brian Jennings out with the drug testing that Jennings requested. And then people still say who he beat. Why? Because some people think it's like you're never going to satisfy anybody with this. Thank you, Fabo. And bro, you've been listening to me because I've said that too. You can't bring, okay, Fabo says pieces of paper may be indicators, but you don't hit your opponent in the ring with paper. How many people would have picked Tim Witherspoon to do what he did against Larry Holmes at that time? Even though Holmes got that win, man, I thought Tim, and you guys know my 3 favorite heavyweights of all time, 1A, 1B, 1C, Ali, Holmes, and Foreman. And as a huge Holmes fan, I thought Witherspoon should have got the nod that night. But exactly, bro, you can't bring your resume and say, all right, hey, before, Michael Buffer, before you announce us, let me just hold up my resume to y'all, let me unscroll it. Okay, let me unscroll my, hold on, let me grab it for you guys. Hold on, Michael Buffer, don't announce me yet. Let me grab this really quick. All right, I got it. Here's my resume. It don't work like that. Once the bell ring, hands start flying. And then the winner of that, I can say, I beat you. You know what I'm saying? That's always been my opinion on it, man. Again, for debate purposes and just going over, then yeah, you can say, who beat who and things like that. Let me scroll up a little bit. 80 says, yes, they should have rolled the dice with Wilder sooner. They were overly cautious because he obviously showed weaknesses in training. And they're overly cautious because they knew this kid. Look, bro, and here's another thing. Just let me throw this in there too. All right, this can mean something. It can mean nothing. It can mean a lot. I'll say this. In 2009, 8, like when he turned pro in 2008, 9, I remember being on eastsideboxing.com. I used to be big in the chat forums, right? And bro, I'm here to tell you, around that time, like 2010, a lot of us in the chat forums, we didn't think much of Wilder, right? We thought that maybe, okay, he probably dropped down to cruiser because we're just looking at 6'7", long, wiry. He's not going, these heavyweights, and even back then, right? I'm talking about 250, 260, even then. And I'm like, now he'll probably be a cruiser or something, man. You know what I'm saying? So didn't take him, really take him serious as a heavyweight fighter, right? So how do you roll the dice on somebody when you still don't know if he's gonna be not to say that his team were contemplating putting him at cruiser. I'm just saying a lot of us, the fans, being that he weighed, the 207 and 209, we probably thought the guy probably drop down to cruiser and have a better chance. So I didn't know, what they're going to do with Wilder. So if somebody to follow it the way I do, and fans that had the same mindset as me, if we're thinking this, I know his fucking team were thinking that. Like, let's bring this kid up slowly. Let's just see what we got here. Yeah, he went to the Olympics, but that was just off of pure just determination, dogged grit. You dig what I'm saying? That wasn't because he started boxing at 8 like Andy Ruiz or boxing at 10-year-old like Evander Holyfield. It's because he just decided that he needed another means to take care of his daughter when he was 20 years old. Right? So it's different, bro. No, I don't agree that you just roll it. No, you don't. You roll the dice as a manager promoter when y'all come to a consensus as a team. Not just, well, Anthony Joshua rolled the dice or this. No, you don't do because of somebody else did the shit. You pick your own path in that situation, in my opinion. I'm not saying you're right or wrong, bro. I'm just saying that's my opinion about what you said. My man Lance Meyer up in here was good, bro. He says, I'm not as knowledgeable as you, but I still think where he is really at. Well, one place that I do know he is really at, that is having good technical skills. You can just see that with the eyes. And I understand, well, yeah, against who though? Well, just what I've seen from the first time I ever seen him when he had blonde hair. You remember when Luis Ortiz had blonde hair back in the day? From what I see right now, he's just very technically just gifted and skilled. Again, no, brother, I don't see nobody getting in there with Luis Ortiz, not because I think he's the boogeyman. I just don't see nobody getting in there with him unless it's a title elimination bout. Like, who's going to say, you know what, for the time being, give me Luis Ortiz. Now, I did hear Dillian White say it, and Luis Ortiz answered his call out. So I guess we'll see how far that goes. Dillian White was saying he wants so on and so forth. Hypnofist says his work ethic and his approach to being open to the fans is exactly the change that drove UK boxing to where it is now. Hey man, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go live again tonight. Let me do one more. Dark Substance, I've never seen it before. It says Dark Substance says give Wilder his credit. Fury nor Joshua wants that smoke with Ortiz. Well, definitely in that comment, bro, I would definitely give Wilder the credit of not only fighting him, and Joshua, bro, they did offer him a lot of money, man, and he turned it down because he thought he deserved more money. Now, when it comes to this money thing, just it's hard for me. I'm not saying other guy. For me, it's just that's kind of hard for me to do. All right, because I'm not a part of the team. I'm not a part of all the analytics inside the camp and the numbers and all that. I'm talking about the real numbers and not the shit they report to us, but for people to know. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say Joshua wanted no smoke from that last the last time they wanted him in the ring with him. All right, give me 1 second. And then let me see. My man James says Spinks beat Ali. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Leon Spinks beat Ali. I mean, I know Leon Spinks was a hell of an amateur. Him and his brother won gold medals. Was at 76. Yeah, I think that was 76 when they won those gold medals. But Leon Spinks was like, man, he had like a crazy amateur. I mean, if y'all don't, Leon Spinks had one of the craziest amateur records, bro. He was like 175 and 12 and like 155 knockouts or something crazy like that, man. But again, they could have said that about Leon Spinks. Now, I know people may argue, which I would argue too. Ali shouldn't even been fighting, man. But that's a whole different story. Let me see. My man Tone Banger says, hold on, okay, let me go because you guys are reading comments. Let me see. So DMLE says, you do overrate Ortiz over, he says, you do overrate Ortiz over in the US. I'm just basing it off the skill set, brother. I'm basing it off the skill set. Again, though, bruh, okay, Luis Ortiz should fight better opposition. Bet. Ain't it up to Parker to want to get in there with him, though, bro? Ain't it up to Joe Joyce to, remember when Joe Joyce called him out? I'll fight him. And then they said, oh, but not next, though. You guys remember that, right? When Joe Joyce was calling his name a few years ago? Again, I'm not saying these guys can't beat him, but you got to get in there with them, though. You can't just talk about it. Dillian White. Remember when Dillian White was going back and forth? Then Dillian White ended up fighting, I forgot who else he fought, man. But remember when that happened because this Dillian White, Luis Ortiz counter call out, this has been going on for a few years now. You can blame who you want, right? A lot of people going to say Dillian White didn't want it. Then he did want it, but he wanted it on some crazy terms, right? Anthony Joshua, I'll give you that one. But a lot of these, I just gave you the example of Ruiz and Ortiz, of Ruiz and Jarrell Miller saying, oh, there's not enough time. Now, maybe, hey, for them, it wasn't enough time to train. Maybe 5 weeks wasn't enough time for them to train. It may be. But I'm always of the understanding of, hey, man, be ready so you got to get ready. You guys are professional athletes, professional boxers towards the top. What do you mean you ain't ready? Man, some of the great fighters back in the 20s, 30s, and I know this is a different era, but they'll be rolling in their graves, man, talking about some 5-6 weeks and you still ain't ready. You know what I'm saying? Michael Hunter Jr.'s dad, he was that dude took a fight, they saw him in the crowd. Hey, Mike, we need a replacement now, like today, like right now, like now. Can you go get dressed right now to fight? Bet. Oh, and the guy's an undefeated prospect. I don't care. Bet. I get it. But Mr. Boxing, to promote a big fight, look, man, I don't know who, I think and shouts out to Floyd, man, but I think it was Floyd or maybe it was Bob. It was somebody, man, that was saying you need 2 to 3 months to promote a big fight. Who the fuck, who made that criteria? How was that fact? Out from the fight? That's just look, fans, don't let them, and I know yes, you can use useful marketing strategies, commercials, having your time on different streaming services and apps to promote the fight, getting the guys on talk shows, and yeah, I get it. And especially now with this COVID shit, man, I'm not trying to hear nothing about how long you need to build a fight. Miss me with that. Let me see. I was going to end it, man, but now I'm getting more interactive with you guys. Let me see here. Climb High says, let me see. Hypno said, oh, okay. I'm not, I think you guys are going back and forth. Climb High says, Mr. Boxing, that, I'm not, see, bro, when you put DW, I'm not sure if you're talking about Wilder or White. You talking about Deontay Wilder or Dillian White, but you says offer was an Instagram offer, a 24-hour deadline with no chance of meeting about it. I'm not sure you're talking about, bro. Guys say DW, and sometimes I'm not sure if you're talking about White or Wilder. I see you guys going back. It says the fact that BT Sport financed that 50 million offer for Wilder killed the deal. That's the thing. If you're an older fighter but also a puncher, a lot of guys aren't going to want to take the risk on you because it's limited credit reward for big risk. Fabo. D only says he not Ortiz makes Wilder relevant. That's why you like him. Tone, okay, going with Tone Bangers. See you guys chopping it up, man. Look, Don Banks up in here. Don Banks says, dudes ain't want no smoke. I'm 0-0, and I get the call. I'm ready for that action about that money. God of War says, Ortiz overrated in my opinion. Never fought top competition. Only talks 4 weeks before he fights some journeyman. Well, that's not all true, bro. He's fought. You said top competition. So you said top competition. The fight, when he went into the Jennings fight, Jennings was top competition. Jennings' only loss going into that fight was earlier that year in a 12-round decision loss. And he actually won some rounds. He didn't get swept, wasn't getting ragdolled against Klitschko. He had beat Perez. He had beat an undefeated Perez in Spilka. There's somebody else that he fought on NBC Sports that was a good, as far as on the come up, it's a Russian cat that fight out of the wild card gym. Oh, this is pissing me off, man. What is that dude's name? Damn, I can't remember that dude's name, man. He beat him. This is pissing me off. I can't remember that cat's name. But he beat him, Ortiz. He beat Jennings, and then he fought Wilder twice. That's top competition. Now, if you want to say it's mixed results, fine. But say he hasn't fought top competition, that's, And then again, like I keep harping on, guys got to want to get in there with you, man. They got to want to get in there with you. I understand that God of War, but who else has wanted to get in there with him? Dillian White said it, but when it came to really doing it, he went another direction. Again, and I keep repeating myself, I'm going to get off after this, but Jarrell Miller and Andrew Ruiz said it. I mean, and then guess who did say it's enough time for me? Tony Thompson. He stepped right in. And what's so crazy about, I'm going to just say this real quick, I'm going to get off. Tony, look, when he was looking for a replacement, I remember I was doing the video. It was when Luis Ortiz fought Washington, D.C. I remember I was doing the video, and I said, damn, man, none of these dudes want to just step in. I thought all these dudes were ready for smoke, and everybody's ducking them and all this shit. They talking all this gangster shit, and nobody wants to fight them. Guess who I recommend? I swear to God, 3 days later, Luis Ortiz versus Tony Thompson. They had to listen to my video, or just maybe I just got it right because Tony Thompson is a DC fighter. Maybe they had him in the works the whole time, but I was the first one that made a video about it should be Thompson. All right, but I say that to say this: people have to want to get it in there with you. It's not just good enough to say it on Instagram. You have to want to get in there. Over the last 10 years, I wouldn't say, if you're asking me to rate the top 5 guys over the last 10 years, Ortiz would be out of my top 5. That's why. So are you saying Ortiz not a good fighter because I don't have him on a list that has Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Wladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury, and Povetkin? I thought, see, bro, I'm just being consistent with, I'm going in chronological order. See me, I don't skip over 4 years because I like this fighter or disregard these 3 years when I'm talking about this 10-year span. Nah, man, from 2010 to about 2015-ish, 2016-ish, Povetkin was the number 2 heavyweight, in my opinion, to Wladimir Klitschko. So that's why he's not on the list. Yeah, if you want to say he gets too much hype, that's fine. And I get it. You just want to see how he looks against those other guys. But shit, a lot of guys were more willing to step in there with Joshua because there was belts on the line and all that type of thing. You know what I mean? But I would love to see him fight, see how he looks against Wallen and Parker and Povetkin and all these other guys that everybody else has fought as well. Shit, I remember when Vladimir was scared, he just went other directions. Vladimir chose all those guys, the Marius Waks of the world. That's what he chose. And those guys were undefeated at the time as well. So people, would have been complaining, why not give Wak the shot? Why not give, Jennings the shot? Why not give Povetkin the shot? Shit, I mean, he beat Jennings when Jennings was top 10. I know it was 5 years, but you look, I'm talking about December 21st, 2010, when I made my first YouTube video till today. This last 10-year span. Right? There's a such thing as the first half of the decade and the second half of the decade, bro. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to just disregard the first half of the decade. If I do that, then Povetkin shouldn't even be on here. Jay Petty, what's up? My man D-Style boxing up in this thing. What's good, man? Tone Banger says Ortiz also beat number 4 ranked Latif Coyote, but he failed a drug test afterwards, I believe. Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. After years of amateur. Yes, they do. I think it's his most notable, I think it's his most notable. But look, guys, I'm getting very repetitive now, man. I want to keep talking guys' ear off. Been here for over an hour and a half, man. But if you guys miss the bulk of this and miss me breaking down what Klitschko, Wilder, Fury, AJ, and Povetkin did in the last 10 years, I broke it down. Who they beat, the undefeated fighters they beat, and I gave their record of the last 10 years. Undefeated Pulev, undefeated Povetkin, undefeated Pianata, undefeated Wak, a one-loss David Haye. All right, and the undefeated AJ and the undefeated Fury. Man, that's crazy right there. All right, I appreciate that $10 holla for my man D-Style. He says $10 for 10 great years. I'm going to just run down real quick. I'm going to go to other guys real quick, and I'm going to get off. Wilder, in the last 10 years, 9 overall KOs in his defeated Luis Ortiz, a one-loss Luis Ortiz, and he fought an undefeated Tyson Fury twice. Okay, and he beat a one-loss Brazil. Then he beat Spilka, Duipa, Molina, Scott, Lajakovic, guys like that. Stavern in a rematch. All right, Fury. Tyson Fury, over the last 10 years, is 18-0-1 with 12 knockouts. Title fights 2-0-1. The one draw again. All right, I'm talking about going into fights and there's a WBO, WBA, BC, or IBF on the line. Not none of this lineal, but he took 3 years off and came. I didn't do that. You want to do that? That's fine. He's the man to beat. Okay, it's fine. That's that. You can have that. All right. But 18-0-1 over the last 10 years. He fought an undefeated Wilder twice, undefeated Wallen, undefeated Tom Schwartz, undefeated Chisora. He beat Steve Cunningham. AJ, 24-1, 22 knockouts, 10 title fights, 9-1, 7 knockouts. He beat an undefeated White, undefeated Martin, undefeated Parker, one loss Povetkin, one loss Pulev, one. That's crazy, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Then he revenged that loss against Ruiz. All right, then last but not least, Povetkin, 15-2-1, 18 fights. 15-2-1, 10 KOs, the losses to Klitschko and AJ, the draw with Michael Hunter. All right, and he beat a one-loss Huck, a one-loss Manuel Char. He beat a 2012 version of Hasim Rahman. He beat a one-loss Cedric Boswell, a one-loss Redinko, Duipa. Dealing Newly, I appreciate that, brother. That $5 holler in that comment section. Peace out to my man Blood. I appreciate y'all joining, man. Go vote for who you think heavyweight over the last 10 years. It can be whatever criteria you want to use. You know what I mean? Until next time, you guys, I'm gone. Peace.